But I want you to listen to a clip from the film Casino, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Pesci, De Niro, Sharon Stone. She won an Oscar. James Woods, Don Rickles. There's a load of people in it. I want you to listen to a couple of clips from the film, which might give people who've never come across the work of David Icke, of Jordan Maxwell, of Jim Mars, who've never ever paid attention to it. This might give them an in, right? It might give them a foot in the door to looking beyond the system. So listen to this clip. This is from Casino, Scorsese. And Casino is about when the mafia controlled Las Vegas. So in the clip you're about to hear, you're going to hear how a loan is organised and given to a frontman to buy a new casino. And the loan is given through the Teamsters Pension Fund, and the loan is $62 million. Okay, so a frontman is getting some money to buy or build a casino called the Tangiers, and he's getting it from the Teamsters Pension Fund. So the man getting the loan is owned by, basically in the film, he's owned by the godfathers of the mafia. Okay? So watching it again recently, I was struck by what an amazing and very simple metaphor casino is for the global power structure. Have a listen to a couple of clips here. It might make sense, it might not. You might think I'm talking through my backside. Listen carefully.
I know it's a little early for Las Vegas, but I do want to welcome the ladies and gentlemen of the gaming industry.
As far as the world was concerned, Andy Stone, the head of the Teamsters Pension Fund, was a legitimate guy.
It's a very auspicious occasion.
A powerful man.
Philip, if you would rise.
He even played golf with the president.
On behalf of the Teamsters Pension Fund, my pleasure to present you.
But Andy also took orders. And when he was told to give a pension fund loan to Philip Green,
was $62,700,000 for the new Tangiers.
He did what he was told.
Now here was the perfect front man. I mean, what the fuck else could he be? He didn't know too much. He didn't want to know too much, especially that the bosses made the Teamsters lend him the money. He wanted to believe the Teamsters gave him all that fucking money because he was smart.
I say that knowing full well just how much competition we have in this great city.
And where they got Green from? Who the fuck knows? All I know is that Green was an Arizona real estate hustler who barely had enough gas money to come and pick up his own fucking check. And of course it was the boss's man, Andy Stone, who gave all the orders. Not the chairman of the fucking board, Philip Green.
I understand.
You hear Philip Green? I understand. So Pesci said the boss's man, Andy Stone, gave the orders and not the chairman of the board, Philip Green, the real estate developer. Andy Stone, the Teamster boss, the metaphor is he represents the banks. And Philip Green, who took the loan of $62 million, is Donald Trump. And the casino is the US government. It couldn't be any clearer, right? The Teamster boss who gave the loan from the pension fund is the banks. Philip Green is Donald Trump. And the casino itself is representative of the US government. It could be any government, but we'll say, for the purpose of this, it's the US government. Now, the bosses who direct Andy Stone, as Joe Pesci said, we'll come back to them a bit later on. So if Andy Stone, the boss's man, who represents the banks, very high-profile guy, he's put Philip Green, Donald Trump, in charge. But Stone, the banks, they can't be seen in the casino or in government. And Green is a stooge, Trump is a stooge. Who's going to manage Philip Green or Donald Trump and run things? Have a listen.
Now all they needed was somebody they could trust to run the casino. And who better than Ace? I mean, he was already in Vegas a couple of years and he had the fucking place clocked. But typical Ace. Give him a shot at running a casino and he tries to talk you out of it.
It's a tough proposition, Andy. You know, if I did it, I'd have to run it my way.
You got it.
I'm serious, no interference.
Nobody's going to interfere with you running the casino, I guarantee.
Everybody start to sing, la-di-da.
And that's how they got Ace to take over. They wanted him because Ace ate, slept, and breathed gambling.
So nobody's going to interfere with the man being brought in to run the casino or run the government. He's Sam Rothstein, played by Robert De Niro, and he represents Goldman Sachs. He'll be in charge of Donald Trump. Philip Green, the chairman of the board. He'll be in charge. He'll direct Donald Trump, not so much from the shadows, because he'll be visible in the casino, in the government, but he'll be telling him what to do. You're following this? So you have the banks represented by Andy Stone, gave Philip Green, who's Donald Trump, millions of dollars to acquire and run the casino, which is the government. Trump is useless. He's a stooge. We know this, right? The man in charge of the day-to-day business is the new character, Sam Rothstein, played by De Niro, who is Goldman Sachs. Why plant Goldman Sachs in there? Because they have criminality, corruption, money laundering and stealing down colder than anybody. And we'll tell you who they're stealing for in a minute. Let's hear more about Sam Rothstein, Robert De Niro, or Goldman Sachs.
He made his first bet when he was 15 years old, and he always made money. But he didn't bet like you or me. You know, having some fun with it, shit like that.
What the hell did you learn how to do?
He bet like a fucking brain surgeon.
Place the checks properly. That's the way you do it. Yes.
He had to know everything, this guy. He'd find out the kind of inside stuff nobody else knew, and that's what he'd put his money on. He'd be working on this shit day and night. There was nothing about a game he was going to bet that he didn't know.
Let's get down at 6. Get me down at 6.
Season after season, the prick was the only guaranteed winner I ever knew. But he was so serious about it all that I don't think he ever enjoyed himself. But that's just the way he was. But back then, the bosses didn't give a fuck about whether he enjoyed himself or not. To them, he was a cash register. All they had to do was ring the bell and take the money.
Just ring the bell. So he has the insider information that nobody else has, and he never loses. That's why he's there, to steal and skim and make sure that those really in charge, who we'll come to in a minute, get the lion's share of the wealth. To the public, it all looks like it's on the up and up. It's all brilliant. But in truth, their lives are going down the toilet. Their money is decreasing and deteriorating all the time. The bosses only had to ring the bell and he'd come up with the goods. He never loses. That's Goldman Sachs, right? And Philip Green or Donald Trump hasn't a clue. Ego, remember at the start he said he wanted to believe the Teamsters gave him all that money because he was smart, the real estate developer. Well, they didn't. They gave him all that money because he's easily manipulated, because he craves the job, he craves the fame and the fortune. Couldn't care less about anything else. As long as I'm on telly and I'm the president, I couldn't care less. So Ace Rothstein, played by Robert De Niro or Goldman Sachs, goes to deliver the goods to his boss and Andy Stone's boss. Andy Stone is the Teamster representing the banks. They go to deliver all the money and all the land and all the power they've stolen from people. And the real boss, the man at the top of the pyramid, has the question for De Niro and Goldman Sachs and the banks in general, Andy Stone.
Ace, what are we going on for next week?
Well, it's a little too early. I say Thursday would be good. I'll know by then. Is that all right?
Okay. You come by the house?
I'll come by then.
7 o'clock. Good job, man. Keep it up. Okay, Ace. Hey, Nick. Here I come.
I'll be right.
I'll jump on the left. Nicky, see that guy? Keep a good eye on him. He's making a lot of money for us. He's going to continue making a lot of money for us. So keep a good eye on him. Not like your fucking friends out there without brains. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Fine.
Let me take this. So now, on top of everything else, I got to make sure nobody fucks around with the golden Jew.
And the real boss back east, who told Joe Pesci to make sure that nobody fucks around with the Goldman Jew, who's he? The guy who tells everybody else what to do. Nobody knows who he is. Well, his name is Rothschild. And there are a couple of other guys in the room with him. You can see them in the background. Also big fat guys. They're called Rockefeller, Warburg and Schiff. Nobody knows who these guys are. And who was he telling to make sure that nobody fucks with the Golden Jew? Who is Joe Pesci representing in this metaphorical drama? Well, he plays Nick Santoro, who represents the press barons and the intelligence agencies. Make sure nobody finds out what De Niro is doing on our behalf, lest they come looking for us. And I must have seen the film about 400 times, that film. And only recently, watching the introduction again to the main players, how the casino was acquired, the front man, the Teamsters boss, the guy being brought in, the gambler, and all of that, did I realise what an amazing metaphor it is for the global power structure today. That's Casino, Martin Scorsese.